Alright guys, I'm gonna switch it up, and instead of being like, hey guys, or howdy, I'm actually just gonna start with, alright guys, let's just start talking about stuff instead of the goofy, standard, hey, intro. So that's something I'm starting on. I just think it's kind of funny that like every YouTuber does that. So I'm gonna just, my thing now is, alright guys, and that's just how I'm gonna do my videos. You can like it, you can hate it, whatever. Do what you want. Today we're going to talk about Conqueror's Blade and the seasonal units in Conqueror's Blade. Now, with that said, I will go into the details of each season and talk about why they're worth it and why they're not worth it. And then we will break down the sections so you can check out whichever season you want. Just click where you want to go. And then, of course, if you do like the video, support your content creators and hit that like button. If you don't like the video, hit the dislike button. That's totally up to you. I'll put that option out there for you. I don't mind. I like when people disagree with me because it creates a conversation and we can keep talking about this and go forward and like, oh yeah, maybe this unit is worth it for certain things. And maybe I just didn't know that. And maybe some of my videos might be biased because of, my gameplay. It's gonna happen, guys. I don't expect you guys to agree with me all the time. And with that said, let's just go ahead and jump into it. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and jump into the menus for unit challenges and go through all the seasons and talk about which units are worth it and which units aren't worth it. So to get there, all you got to do is hit F5 and then you will go ahead and you'll probably be at overview, which is here, and then you would go to unit challenges and then you'll see the unit challenges here. We're going to start with season 2, the first season. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons that we will cover. So let's start with season 2. All right, so season 2 was the season of the Mongols. And with that said, now which units here are worth getting? Now, Namkhan archers, I will go ahead and say, are one of the best archers in the game. Definitely worth getting, and they're actually pretty easy to get. They're one of the first unit challenges here. You have to do the 8 challenges here, and then you have to do 8 challenges here. So you got to do 16 challenges to complete this to get Namkhans. Definitely worth it. All right, so let's go ahead and jump to the next one. Sorry, I don't know why I did that. And so next is Selim Chids. Now, for a T3 Cav, I definitely think Selim Chids are worth getting. They're not like a must, but they're fun to get. If you're learning Cav, I would highly recommend working with Iron Cap Scouts and Kudaliers and Selim Chids if you want to practice charges and trying to work on survivability for your Cav. It's much cheaper to do that than just pulling out T5 as your first unit and losing them every match. So definitely start with some lower tier Cav and work your way up because there is a learning curve to Cav in this game. And to get these guys, it would be 16 also. Now I keep going overview. That's what I keep doing. All right, so now in Korchins, Korchins not really worth in my opinion. They don't do enough damage. I mean, they're not bad, but they're not worth in my opinion. We will look at them really quick. So for these guys, it's the same thing. It's 16 challenges to unlock them. You do these challenges, and then you will get to the second stage, and you'll unlock them here. All right, so back to unit challenges. Now we're on Tesserigs. Now these guys are actually starting to show some more fame, popularity in the recent season 7 with all the health and bonuses that have been given to infantry. I believe they got more armor penetration in the season 7 patch. With that said, they do have some decent abilities for like knockdown. Also being blunt damage is pretty good. They're still not as good as paladins or as zaps. And the new berserkers, I would say they're actually better too. So these guys are worth if you need some more shield infantry. If you don't have paladins and whatnot, but these are just another fun unit to get. Not a must, but not something you should totally forget about. All right, so this one you actually have to do 4 Yeah, that's actually a lot of challenges to unlock these guys. So you have to do 4 times 8, so 32 to actually unlock these guys. 32 challenges. All right, so going back, then you have Cavital Cavalry. These guys, they're not bad. They're not worth though at the moment. I just would prefer to use Red Rangers over these guys. They're not horrible. They don't use ammo. They have like a cooldown bow attack, and then their charge isn't horrible, but they're very squishy units. And then these would be 32 also to unlock. I don't think they're worth. All right, moving on to the last one would be Keshigs. Now in season 3 and 4, these guys were crazy good. They had an awesome back charge that would just do so much AoE slashing damage that it would just kill everything. But since Stalwarts came out, and these guys getting nerfed, they're not as popular for a T5 cav. They are one of the fastest cav for sure, but for how much it takes to get them, I would highly recommend focusing on other cav first. So I wouldn't say it's worth until you have more cav. Like, make sure you have Wing Hussars, make sure you go for Laos, make sure you go for maybe Red Rangers over these guys. Just for the fact that you can get those with honor, except for Laos, that's a seasonal unit. I would recommend looking at those first before getting these guys, but they are very fast and really good at killing heroes and infantry, except for Stalwarts. Stalwarts will stop these guys. Also Impikes, obviously. Now, let's move back. Now, that is Season 2. Again, guys, if you disagree with me, feel free to hit me up on the comments and let me know what you think. But those are my opinions on these units. And from popular opinion and what I've seen, that's the bias. So what's worth is Nomcon Archers and Tessergs. I would say these two are the main ones maybe to look at. Selim Chids are, you can just get Kudalirs and Iron Cap Scouts to work on cav. You don't necessarily need to get Selim Chids. They are good at killing infantry, but they're very squishy. All right, so that is my opinions on these. Let's go ahead and move on to Season 3. All right, guys, let's talk about Season 3. And which units are worth it in Season 3. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this is actually one of the best seasons to work on. There's a lot of good units in here. So let's go ahead and start with the Condottieri Guards. Now, this is the Italian units. And for this guy, it's actually reduced for Season 7. So I'd highly recommend going back to this one first and doing these before Season 7's over because it's reduced difficulty. Now with stage 1, you get the contract, and then season 2 you actually unlock them. So you only have to do 12 challenges to get these two. All right. So the third one is for the reduces shock attacks cooldown by 3 seconds doctrine. That's worth getting too. And since it's reduced, I'd recommend getting the doctrines also. All right. So 2 stages to get the condos. All right. So definitely worth. Let's go ahead and look at the Fortebraccio pikemen. Now, these guys are one of the best pikes in the game. They have the longest pike in the game, and they can stop all cav as long as it's a straightforward attack onto their pikes. They did get a nerf, but they're still really good. And with the new epic doctrines, these guys are actually pretty impressive now that they can get stun. Which is awesome that they did that for epic doctrines. Now for these guys, it looks like there's 3 stages. So this one is saying 8 each. So is this one not reduced? Maybe it is, maybe not. So it says 8 for each one. Maybe it's reduced once you unlock it. This one is saying that it would be 8 times 3, so 24 challenges for this guy. And then for the last one, there's the increases armor penetration versus cav. This is a really good doctrine. I'd highly recommend getting this. This unit is also 100% worth. All right, moving on to the Falconetti Gunners. Now, Falconetti Gunners were like, everyone's like, how do we use these when they first came out? And now you're starting to see them more and more in territory wars, in siege battles. Some people strictly play Falconetti Gunners like every game because they love using them. One thing about these guys is you do need to babysit them. They are squishy and they do not shoot things up close. They have really far range, but they are not good with any type of close combat. So with that said, they still are 100% worth because they can stop cab, they can stop infantry, they can stop everything. They can stop ranged. Their accuracy is pretty good with their cannons if you go top line on their veterancy. If you're using bottom line on these guys, I'd be interested to know how you use them. I assume up close in battles because it's more defense and whatnot. So I am curious about that. All right, so for this, there are 4 stages to unlock them. And then it's actually saying 10 challenges for each one, so that's 40 challenges to unlock these guys. You do get a doctrine here in the 3rd stage. Increases piercing defense by 100, which 100% worth. And then there is some XP, and then this one right here is super important to get because it helps increase your accuracy by 25%. Very impressive doctrine. I'd highly recommend getting that. I don't think that's an epic doctrine you can just get. It's strictly a unit doctrine, so definitely check that out. All right, so Falconetti's 100% worth. Let's go ahead and move on to Pavis crossbowmen. Now, Pavis are huge right now. They're all over the place because there's an epic doctrine called double shot, which, you know, just makes them all that more impressive. You can also get the extra attack speed on them, extra damage. Like, these guys are pretty big right now for anti-cav. So with that said, I think you go top line on their veterancy. It adds the stun bolts. So definitely check that out. All right, so this one is the same as Falconetti's. You have 4 stages to unlock them, so 40 challenges here. You do get a doctrine here on the 3rd stage. It increases piercing damage by 90. And then you do get some XP here. And at the end, you can get the reduces melee damage taken by 80. Not super important. I wouldn't be using this over certain ones because, I mean, if melee gets to them, they're probably going to kill them. Like, having the defense against melee isn't that huge. I think having piercing defense might be better just so they can survive longer against range. Usually you have them on something or you have them behind something so melee can't get to them. So you're more worried about range. So I wouldn't worry too much about this doctrine. And again, I would go ahead and say that pretty much this whole season is worth getting. Like, all of these units are worth getting. So definitely check out season 3 and start working on these guys. The condos with their shockwave, the Forte with their awesome long pikes that can stop cav, Falconettis that can work from a distance or up close on stopping cav, infantry, range, and then you have Pavis crossbow, one of the best range units in the game. Definitely check them out. So also in this season you have Maul, and Maul is by far still one of the strongest classes in the game. You can unlock that here too. So I'm just gonna show you really quick. So to unlock the Maul, you only have to do, let's see here. For some reason it gives you the first one for free, and then I'm guessing you just have to keep doing these other ones to get the skills. You unlock the skills that way. You don't have to use skill points for Maul. And then I think, yeah, you have to do Paragon 1 and Paragon 2. So there's a lot of challenges here to unlock Maul. Again, Maul 100% worth trying and playing. See if you like it. Definitely one of the best classes in the game. Season 3 is actually my favorite season, so I'm just going to put that out there. All right, so that is all I have for Season 3. Let's go ahead and jump into Season 4. All right, guys, let's go ahead and talk about Season 4, Blood of the Empire. All right, so starting out, you have Janissaries, and this is one of the first muskets they actually brought in as a seasonal unit. And Janissaries, I have to say, for a T3, they're actually pretty good. I would say they're worth getting. There are better muskets out there, but for a T3, they're actually pretty impressive. So I would say definitely get them. They're worth getting, trying out, and checking them out. They have kill potential on heroes and units. Now, for these guys, you only have to do the 2 challenges, which would be 16. And then the last one, you get a doctrine, increases rate of fire by 8%. Not huge, but, you know, rate of fire is pretty important on muskets. So that is the Janissary. Now let's go ahead and jump into the next one. Next one is Azaps, and Azaps actually are one of my favorite infantry units. They are really good at melee, and with that, and they have a decent charge. They are slashing damage. Now these guys have a buckler, which actually blocks them very well for being so small. It is for dodging and whatnot. And so for this one, it takes 3 stages to unlock, and for this, it looks like 10 each, so you're looking at 30. Again, I don't know if when you unlock these, it actually decreases, but it does say 10 for each one. So it would be 30 challenges for the Azaps to be unlocked. And then you would have some extra experience, and then the reduces the on-watch cooldown by 4 seconds. Not super important. This doctrine is not that crazy important to get, so you don't have to worry about getting that. I would just unlock them, and then there's some actually really good sword and shield doctrines I would get on them, like Ironsides. There's some other ones. So with that said, Azaps are 100% worth getting. Now let's go ahead and jump into the Silidars, or salad bars, whatever you want to call them. I've heard some funny names for them. Now with that, these are the T5 for the season 4, and they are gonna be 12. Oh, so it's 12 for each one here. So that's 12 times 4, so 48 challenges to unlock them. And then for the last one, you could increases get over here movement speed by 10%. Not super important. I'm going to go ahead and say these guys are not worth right now. They're just too slow, and there's just too many counters to them, like Imperial Pikes. And also there's some other really good melee units that can deal with these guys, like Zaps. I mean, Zaps don't beat them, but they do well enough to where a hero can come in and start doing damage with this against the Silidars, and it would be a fair fight. For how much they cost, I think that's what really hurts these guys. They just cost too much. That's about it. No one's using them because they don't really break shields that quickly. It does take a few strikes from them to actually break stalwart shields. And by then, they're already dead because they're kind of squishy. They actually had to buff them in Season 4 like right away because they're way too squishy. And I'm going to have to say they're still pretty squishy. It'd be cool if these guys were a little tankier. I wish Iron Reapers were a little tankier too. And I feel like these guys fall in the same boat. Crazy good damage. Great cover commander. But besides that, you can't do much else except keep them on you. Maybe guarding the walls, these guys are actually pretty good, but I'd rather just use Azaps because of their counter strike, and they actually can do some good against Av and whatnot. All right, so let's go ahead and jump back. So the other unit is Sapahis, and these units aren't bad. It's just they got kind of pushed back because armigers are so good. The cost for these guys aren't too bad either, but I mean, I'd rather just bring a T5 cav. So Sapahis right now aren't worth. They can get out of it Imperial Pike Walk, but from all the damage from the Imperial Pikes, they end up dying anyways. But they can survive and not get CC'd by Imperial Pike Walk. So it's something, you know, if you want to check that out, go for it. It does take 3 stages to unlock these guys. And then they do get a last one, reduces short charge, which their charge isn't impressive. I wouldn't even get that. Let's go ahead and jump back. And then there's just some other things in here. So for this season, I would say that the Janissaries and the Azaps are worth getting. The other two, I wasn't super impressed with. Maybe you were. Definitely let me know what you think. I've used Silidars, I've used Sapahis. It just they just don't survive long enough. I wish there was some more defense here. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into season 5. Now we are on season 5, Legacy of Fire. Now, this was actually a game-changing season for sure. Let's go ahead and start with Zakillian Militia. Zakillians never really were impressive, but they are, let's see here, they are 2 stages to unlock, so 16 to unlock them, and then they do have a increased ammo by 20%. This Actrin actually is, I mean, if you get them, are worth 100% worth getting because they have really low ammo. But I'm gonna go ahead and say it, do not waste your time on these guys. They are squishy, they don't do enough damage, and I mean, you're just better off using some kind of archer, like maybe Nomcons or something instead. These guys just aren't that impressive. They do hit through shields, but I was kind of dissatisfied with their performance. All right, so let's move on to the stalwarts. Now, stalwarts are actually one of the most used shield units in the game today in season 7, and they are, let's see here, 1 2 3, they're 3 stages times 10, so they have 30 challenges to unlock these guys. These guys are really big in territory wars, sieges. Their shields are just so impressive because they can block almost everything and everything that's inside them. They are a little bit weaker on the sides now in their turtle formation, but they still have a very strong brace that stops most cav except for Laos and Hussars. Some other cav can sneak in there, but these guys, you have a very tight formation and their brace is super impressive. So these guys are 100% worth. Let's go ahead and move. Well, actually, let's talk about the doctrine really quick. Reduces the advance cooldown by 3 seconds. That's not really worth. I wouldn't waste too much time on that. There's a lot better epic spear doctrines to go for. Don't worry about that doctrine. You won't use that doctrine. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the paladins. Now, paladins are huge also now. They are one of the best melee shield, sword and shield units. Now, for these guys, you have 3 stages, so you have 30 challenges to unlock these guys. And then for this, reduces recovery cooldown by 2 seconds. 2 seconds isn't a long time. I wouldn't worry about this. Again, there are some really impressive epic doctrines to get. I would not worry about this doctrine. These guys with iron sides are super impressive. By far, I would say they are the best, but Azaps and them are kind of close, matter on situations. And then also Berserkers are kind of close too. So I'm going to go ahead and put them, they're one of the best sword and shield melee units. Their charge is really good too. They do a lot of damage with their charge. So let's go ahead and move on to the flamethrowers. I'm not even going to attempt to try to say their name. I always butcher it every time. So I'm just going to call them flamethrowers because that's what they are. So these are the T5 for season 5. And now these guys are 4 challenges to unlock. 4 stages to unlock. And then they have 12 per each. So 48 total challenges to unlock them. And then there is a bit of experience after, and then you have to get all the way back here to get this. Increases flame duration by 2 seconds. This is actually pretty good because their flame is a high CC damage ability for them. They can stop cav, they can stop heroes, they can stop everything. The biggest issue with them is they're so squishy that if archers, end up hitting them, like you have to have them shielded in order for them to be good. You could run up and start attacking with them, but if there's any archer shooting at them, they'll die almost instantly. So they are good. They are worth because of their flamethrowing CC capabilities. But if you don't have shields with them, they're not worth getting. So let's go ahead and take a look at all of these. Zakillian, not worth. Stalwarts, 100% worth. And then Paladins, 100% worth. And then the flamethrowers are worth if you work with other units. So it really matters on your gameplay style. If you're really aggressive, do not use these guys because they will just go in and die. If you can be patient and work with shield units, then yes, these are good units for you. All right, so that is season 5. Let's go ahead and move on to season 6. All right, let's jump into season 6, Scourge of Winter. All right, so in here we got 3 units, and the first one would be the Landskniks, which we also call them land sharks. Call them what you want. So this one you only have 2 stages, which is actually only 6 each right now. Odd. So only 12 to unlock these guys. This is actually pretty awesome. I'd recommend definitely getting these right away. So obviously I'm admitting that these are worth getting. They are an upgrade to the halberders. And with that said, these guys are actually pretty impressive. Halberders are pretty good, but these guys have a really awesome charge that kind of put prefecture pikes out of business. Their charge is very impressive. As always, you guys can see which units they promote from right here. You can always just take a look at that. Same goes for stalwarts. There's a lot of units that upgrade. So the paladins upgrade from men at arms, stuff like that. So I know I didn't mention those before, but it does mention it here on the bottom. So this is this guy, and then for the doctrine, reduces charge cooldown by 5 seconds. That's not bad if they can survive long enough. Their survivability is not crazy high, but they do very well. All right, let's go ahead and jump to the next one, Armiger Lancers. Now, these guys were super impressive when they came out. They have a cover commander. They're really good at charging in and then coming back with their cover commander, and they have a another ability that helps them charge out of situations. These are by far the best T4 cav that you can get. I feel like these are what Cataphract should have been, but maybe with a little more damage and defense. But yeah, this is what they decided to do. This is an upgrade from Yelman. And let's see what else we got here. So it is 3 stages for these guys. You do get a doctrine here, increases normal attack damage by 5%. This is pretty good for them. And then on the third one, you actually get them. So it's 8 times 3. You got 24 challenges to unlock these guys in 3 stages. And then on the last one, you have reduces gallop cooldown by 4 seconds. Don't worry about that. There are better doctrines out there, like the Lance Doctrine that adds 225 more damage. There's much better doctrines than this one. Don't worry about that. All right, let's jump to the next one. The last unit on season 6 was the Laos Rangers. Now, these guys were broken when they first came out. No one used them because it just wasn't functioning correctly. But we did find going the Devastation route on their veterancy. This route down here, getting Devastation, is by far one of the most impressive abilities in the game. They can annihilate pretty much anything. Imp Pikes do counter them, but if they survive long enough to do their... So they have this ability right here, the Bludgeon. It actually helps them get out of some of that because they are immune to Dazed. So this helps them get out of some of that damage, and then you can get into your Devastation, and they just annihilate everything. Heroes, they just wipe. They're one of the best point clears and unit clears. All right, so with that said, these guys have 4 stages to get them unlocked, which 10 each, so 40 challenges, which isn't that bad. 40 challenges to get these guys. They're one of the best cav in the game right now. I'd highly recommend focusing on these guys early on. And then you have 2 more here where you can get each level reduces bludgeon cooldown by 3 seconds. This is actually pretty good because bludgeon's very important on them. A lot of experience on these guys too. And then there is the increases bludgeon damage by 5%. Bludgeon is a very important skill on them, so both doctrines are pretty important to get. Now that is season 6, and I'm gonna go ahead and say just get all of it. Get all of these guys. They're all really good. They're all being used still today in season 7. I think every single unit in season 6 is worth getting. All right, let's move on to season 7. All right, let's talk about season 7, Wolves of Ragnarok, the season of Vikings. All right, so let's jump into it and look at the units. So you have, first one is Sons of Fenrir, and these guys are different. They have a leaping ability. They're really good at attacking from behind, getting around units. They're very fast. I've used them a bit. I don't, in my opinion, they're not really worth. They can't do anything too crazy. They can go after archers very quick, so I think they're worth for that. But fairly easy to kill with heroes. They actually do decent damage, but they're a little squishy. So I'm gonna put them in the middle, kind of worth, kind of not worth. But let me know what you guys think. They are new units, so maybe there's certain ways to use them that is very impressive. I just haven't seen yet. So let's go ahead and talk about. So there's 2 stages to unlock these, and it's 16 challenges total to unlock them. And then they have this doctrine here: increases slashing damage by 50, increases slashing armor pen by 50. Definitely worth getting. So you're looking at a total of 16 here to get them unlocked, and then another 8 for the doctrine. All right, so that's the T3 for the season. And then Right now, that's Berserkers are unlocked, and these guys are actually pretty impressive. I like them. They have a very fun frenzy ability where they kill crazy. Very, very fun unit. There's only 8 of them, so you gotta be kind of worried about losing 1 or 2. You know, you want to try to keep them alive as long as possible. They do have healing abilities, so that's very big. They have 3 stages to unlock, and it looks like 10 each. So you're looking at 30 challenges to unlock these guys. And then you have the Epic Doctrine you can get for them. Increases their health and reduces range damage by 50. These guys can sit there and fight for a while if you can keep getting Frenzy. I went bottom line on these guys, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. I think I'm right here. Yeah, I'm right here. I'm at like level 16. Or yeah, something like that. I'm still trying to get to the frenzy damage, extra 20%. I think that's going to be huge because they already do a crazy amount of damage. So I want to see how much this does. The top line seems like more utility, more health. They heal a little bit more, so a little bit more sustain on the top, but I'm really curious on how much this frenzy damage does. All right, so that's where I'm at with these guys. I 100% think they're worth. They can definitely sit there and fight with paladins. They can fight with Azaps. So I really like them. And they can break the stalwart shields pretty quick because of how much damage they can do so quickly. All right, so let's go ahead and jump to the last unit for Season 7, the Shield Maidens. They're not out yet, but I did get to test them during the test phases of Season 7 that the content creators got to do. And I really like them. I'm kind of sad that they don't have a brace. They do have a spear and sword. They can switch between the sword and shield. They are going to be 4 stages, and it's going to be 12 each, so 48 in total for challenges. And then they have some extra XP, and then they have reduces the charge cooldown by 5 seconds. Not super impressive. There's going to be some really good doctrines you can use on them, like Iron Sides, because they are sword and shield, but they are also spear. So I'm curious on if you're going to be able to use spear doctrines too. I haven't got to mess with that too much, so I will check that out. Let me know if you guys know that in the comments. So really quick, looking at them, veterancy wise, one is more for spear, one is more for sword. I'm going to be honest with you. I think their sword and shield is actually a little more impressive. Just because of how much damage they can deflect and do. They can beat stalwarts, which is pretty good. That's going to change the meta a little bit in sieges, because people are just going to bring shield maidens to deal with stalwarts now. And they do very well against Imperial Pikes also, because they have so much block on their shield that they don't get knocked down as quickly. All right, so there's that, and they have some really good formations. So you can only charge while they're in their sword formation, and then you can switch to the defense formation with their spear, and they hold for a very long time. All right, so that is the shield maidens. So looking at these guys from afar, I definitely think all of these guys are worth getting for the new season. Like, I always think it's worth just to see like how you like them, see how to play them. They might be good at certain things, so just definitely check them out. All right, so with that said, that is all the seasons. Let's go ahead and jump to the outro. All right, guys, so that was all the seasons. I went through them all and gave you my opinions on which units are worth, which aren't. I hope it helps. And again, if you like this video, hit that like button. If you enjoy my content and want to see more, hit that subscribe button. I try to post a video once a week or once every 2 weeks. So look forward to the next video, which will be Epic Doctrines, a tier list, and we're going to break down all the different doctrines and what they can do. All right. With that said, I wish you guys the best and happy hunting.